I think I've talked to you about this before, but it can't be emphasized too much. There is a very, very broad spectrum of performance. There are many, many performing genres. We can have sacred rituals. We talked about them, initiation rites and so on and so forth. We can have secular rituals. Anna Halprin invents secular rituals. She did one called Circle the Earth, in which dancers at dawn at different parts around the earth would do a kind of celebration of the earth in an attempt to rescue the earth from ecological disaster. And it circled the earth because as dawn moves, they're first dancing in Delhi, and then they dance in Istanbul, and then they dance in London, then they dance in New York, etc., around the earth as dawn comes. So this is a kind of secular ritual. We can have role playing in all different kinds. We can have role playing on the stage, of course, but we can have role playing also in families. We can have role playing in society, like a judge plays a role. They put on special clothes to be a judge. In England, they wear these kind of white wigs. They also wear that in some of the former English colonies. There's still the white wigs. We have job roles, so that when I perform as a professor, when I'm at a faculty meeting, when I'm professing, when I'm talking to you now, this is a kind of performance. It's not like there's a core Richard Schechner in there generating all these performances. I believe that each person is an overlapping set of spheres or circles, so that each of these is core, but they're engaged when they're engaged. It's kind of like the neuronic processes inside my brain. It's not like every memory is a particular place. It's a certain set of connections that leads to the refiring of a memory. So a memory is actually non-existent until the connection is done again. So certain roles are non-existent until they're performing. We have a broad spectrum even within the arts, from high arts such as ballet in the West, or no drama in Japan, or Jingju, which is a Chinese opera, Beijing opera in China, all the way through to popular entertainments. Whoever the latest version of the Rolling Stones are, or whoever the latest version of Bob Dylan. Maybe Bob Dylan is still the latest version of Bob Dylan. He hangs around a long time. And then we have political and social roles. I talked about that, the politicians who are playing themselves all the time. And we have certain kinds of sports roles, so that a great sports figure is not only herself when she's playing basketball or golf, but she embodies that particular aspect of her profession, so that this broad spectrum can always be analyzed, each part of it in relationship to the other parts, how we perform inside each of these parts, what are its constituent behaviors, what is emphasized and what is not emphasized. For example, some politicians in democratic societies want to show that they belong to the common person, so they emphasize their ordinariness. That's true a lot about American politicians. However, if you're a royal, if you're the Queen of England, then you need to emphasize your royalty, because the Queen of England exists as a performance icon, as a kind of subject position who must be a royal to be herself. So if you find the Queen of England performing something very, very ordinary, either we see her stooping to the people or she's embarrassed. So that these roles carry with them certain kinds of categorical imperatives, behavior imperatives. And it fascinates me to look at all of these as they play with each other. And you may ask, how is the aesthetic genres, theater, dance, music, and so on, what play? They are kind of doubly behaved. They are essentialized or condensed and made very intense from these other behaviors. It's not that everything is realism, but that social reality gives us the basis to make even the most highly artificial kinds of art. And yet it's a little more complex, because sometimes this highly artificial art such as in Japanese no drama, begins to influence social behavior. So it's not so much that the king on stage behaves like the king in life, but that the king in life begins to behave like the king on stage. This happens across the whole broad spectrum, where there is this infinity loop between social performance and aesthetic performance, where each influences the other.